So this past weekend, I spent 22 out of 48 hours streaming a live socialism conference on the internet. 22 out of 48 hours. I have watched more socialism this past weekend than most people watch in a year. And when I say socialism, I mean their real world trainings. This was a live socialism conference out of Chicago. You can find the streams on my YouTube channel or wherever you watch me stream. And I posted a video last night kind of lamenting the fact that I literally spend my life watching socialism. This is almost all I do. I do this 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Is it a little obsessive? Yeah, but people have obsessions. And I do this better than anyone else on the internet. I have watched more socialist activist content in the United States over the past 3.5 years than anyone else in the world, and I would bet money on that. And if you think you watch more, then we should connect and we should talk. But I've watched a lot, and I was lamenting last night in my video the fact that when I look at pundits and commentators and so-called experts on the conservative right, none of them know what they're talking about. Not a single one of them. What they're saying on Twitter and saying, this is what the left is not hinged into reality of what I see in these live trainings that I spend all my time watching. It is simply not the same thing. What people are hearing is a right-wing interpretation of what the left is doing. And then they're teaching that to millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people. And they're teaching them wrong. And I know because eventually people that get really interested in this stuff, they end up in my chat. They end up in my audience. I stream to thousands of people a week. I teach 100,000 people every single month about this stuff. I reach a lot of people. So people that are really into this stuff and want to get really wonky about it, eventually they make their way into my audience. And when they do, and this is almost universally true, they say, Carlin, I had no idea this was happening. No one is talking about this. Why aren't they talking about this? Why aren't they listening? And people get really upset at how much they've been lied to by influencers on the right. They get really upset at how much they've been lied to by James Lindsay, by Moms for Liberty, by the Daily Wire, by people at The Blaze, by Steven Crowder, by any number of these people, Jimmy Dore. Like, they're like almost every single, there are so few conservative influencers that are actually telling the truth. I'll name a couple of them. Andy No. Andy No is incomparable. Trevor Loudon does a great job. Stu Studio does a great job. Like, there are people out there who do a wonderful job covering the far left. There really are. So I'm not shitting on everyone. People like Tim Pool, though, people like Phil Labonte, they don't know what the fuck is going on, and they're teaching millions of people. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. And so people come into my chat eventually when they really want to get wonky about this stuff. They realize how much they've been lied to and they get pissed. And that's, by the way, when people really get obsessed with watching socialism in the real world with me, because it is a trip, man. It is a trip to see how different it is in real life than the story, the narrative that you hear on conservative media. And they are selling you a narrative. They are selling you a narrative to get you to vote the way they want you to vote. It is not real. The left lies to people. They do exactly the same thing. The left has their narrative. The right has their narrative. Anyway, I posted this video last night lamenting that, and I'm not going to go and rehash the whole thing again, but I got a lot of comments from people saying, okay, Carlin, we hear you. You're sounding the alarm. What do we do? That's a complicated question to answer. First off, I actually literally wrote a book about what to do. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, The Ultimate Guide for Fighting Back Against the Woke Insanity in Your Life. You can find it on Amazon, Audible, whatever. That book has 4 chapters of checklists, literal checklists, saying, here's what you do to fight back in this area. Here's what you need to know. Here's what you need to do now. I wrote that book at the beginning of 2021. I wrote that book over 3 years ago. It came out in 2022. That's just the way publishing works. But most of what I wrote in that book still holds up. Not all of it. Not all of it. But most of it. You know, you learn things, you continue to grow. I continue to correct things and offer a different perspective on my Substack, stuff like that. If people want to see my current perspective, they can go there. They can come to my streams, whatever. My point is that I've already given you the resource of checklists of items to do. It's available. You can find it. I have a free podcast on my Substack where I tell you what to do. But here is something I didn't consider when I wrote my last book. Knowing what to do means nothing if you don't know how to speak the language of the left. If you don't truly understand the left. I made a mistake when I wrote the book in that part of what I skipped over in my head was that I really thought the conservative right and more kind of like the anti-woke people understood the left better than they do. I really thought they did. I'm just a natural at doing this stuff. I'm an organizational psychologist. This is what I do. I know how to analyze social systems. It comes very naturally to me. I had made the assumption that a lot of people out there saw what I saw because to me it was obvious when I was looking at it. It took me years to figure out, literally years, that most people, because of conservative influencers and commentators and pundits not telling them the truth, most people do not understand the left like I do. Most people do not understand the left like my audience does. It is like looking into an alternate universe to see what conservative pundits share on Twitter, on their YouTube channels, in their podcasts, whatever. It is mind-boggling. And people think that I talk about this just to attack other conservative, to attack influencers, to attack influential people for clout or whatever. Listen, I didn't even know about this for years. I recently figured this out, maybe about a year ago, almost a year ago, maybe. I didn't even realize things were this bad for years. My problem is that there are millions of people that are being misinformed in this country about what's going on, and that comes from the people they trust to tell them the truth. Anyway, a lot of people asked me what they could do to fight back against the left after I made the video yesterday. And the answer is really inconvenient. Most of you have to unlearn everything you think you know about the left, and you have to learn again from scratch. I'm sorry. There is no shortcut to this. When I tell people you have to learn, you have to learn, you have to learn, you have to listen to what the left says. Really listen. Not listen to be outraged. Really listen. You have to learn what their perspective is. You have to be able to put yourself in their shoes and understand how they see the world. You need to listen to their content. You need to learn what they believe, really believe. Not outrage bait, not clickbait, not bullshit. This is not about grooming. This is not about Gnosticism. All that's a lie. Now, I'm not going to say there isn't some stuff with kids. There is, but it's not the majority of the left. It's a tiny little sliver. I'm not saying it's not a problem, but it's a tiny little sliver. And the bigger slice is much worse. I promise you, it's much worse. There are really big problems that are going to affect us at a societal level and that already are that most people don't know about because they don't understand the left. They understand the clickbait. They understand the outrage porn that you get on Twitter. They don't understand the real left. So what you need to do if you want to help, if you want to really help, do something of value, do something that can actually beat back what the left is doing, you need to start by learning your enemy and understanding your enemy. And until you do that, and I know people don't like this answer, until you take the effort to learn what you are fighting, no tactic you implement is going to work. That's just the way it goes, bro. No tactic you implement is going to work if you don't implement it in the right way so it is properly directed at the problem. I'm going to give you an example of this. Moms for Liberty. Moms for Liberty is one of the biggest do-nothing organizations that makes it look like they're doing something in the world. I'm not talking about normal moms and dads and Moms for Liberty. Normal moms and dads that just want to protect their kids, want help with what's going on. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the national organization that pushed this book banning agenda on all of us with the help of James Lindsay, who lies to people, millions of people, every single day about what the left is doing. Completely misleads a massive number of people. The chief spokesperson for Moms for Liberty. Moms for Liberty decided a couple years ago that their best bet to raise money was to convince people to go after certain books in libraries. Here is why that doesn't work. And before you say, I know what people are going to do already. They're going to come in my comments. They're going to go, oh, so you want kids to read sex books? You want kids to read... No, shut the fuck up. I have done more to expose actual grooming in schools than almost anyone else on the planet. So don't fucking come into my comments and tell me that I don't care about this shit. I've done more than most of you watching this video, and I've done it for free in my free time. I only make money if people choose to reward me for the work that they find valuable. But that's what happens every single time I bring up this Moms for Liberty thing. People think, oh, you just want to groom kids. No. Listen and learn. It takes weeks or months to ban one single book. You want to call it getting removed? Whatever. It takes weeks to months in every single instance to get genderqueer out of the school library or out of the public library or wherever the library you're trying to get that book out of. In that time period, the left has already churned out like 5 more children's books and books for teenagers that are teaching them exactly the same thing, if not worse, and they're books you don't know about. How do I know this? Because one of the ways that the left is funded is via publishing. They own publishing houses. There are dozens of socialist-specific, far left-specific publishing houses that only churn out far left materials. Haymarket Books is one of those organizations. Haymarket Books runs the socialism conference that I streamed all weekend. Haymarket Books is a massive socialist publishing house. I was undercover at that conference last year. I went into their bookstore. It was massive. It was like a Barnes & Noble at a conference, a pop-up bookstore. And they had tables of children's books. They had tables of young adult books. They had tables of books that they're publishing to put in schools. They even had a table of board games, socialist-specific board games that are given to kids in these socialist daycare programs. These are real things to teach them how to be the next generation of good little socialists. That's one publishing house. There are dozens. There is a radical revolutionary socialist bookstore in every major city in this country. They hold radical revolutionary socialist events. They hold trainings. They sell all these socialist books. Socialist books also sell into university bookstores. They put on conferences. They put on events. This is how they make money. If Moms for Liberty had known this and Moms for Liberty had understood how the left actually operates, because this is like basic 101 level stuff, then maybe they would have realized that they're putting days, weeks, months sometimes into banning one single book, and in that time, the far left socialist publishers are churning out books to replace them. You get one book out of the library, the left's going to replace it with 5 more, and you don't even know what they're titled, so you can't go after them until you figure out what they're titled, and then you get offended by them, and then maybe you never even hear about them at all, because book banning is not really in the news cycle right now, and God knows people think that if it's not in the news cycle, it's not important anymore, or it's not happening, so maybe you don't even hear about these books at all. At the socialism conference last year, they were talking about the books over and over and over again. The socialists don't care about the books right now. I didn't even hear them talk about it at all at this conference. So they've already moved on to something else. They've got their books in your libraries. They've got their books in your schools. You don't even know what most of them are. And yet Moms for Liberty is getting tens of $millions a year to ban 1 or 2 books and get 1 or 2 people elected to school board, who, by the way, Moms for Liberty endorsed candidates have actually voted in favor of gender ideology in schools. That's how effective they are at getting the right people elected. I'm not saying no good has come out of Moms for Liberty. I'm saying a lot of fucking wasted money and time has come out of it that didn't need to be wasted if they understood the problem that they were fighting. But they didn't take the time to understand it. Just like James Lindsay doesn't understand it. He might know the philosophy, and he certainly knows the philosophy better than me, but I know what the left is doing in the real world far better than that asshole ever could. And when we tried to tell him, when we tried to show him, he blocked us, he smeared us, he defamed us, he has demanded organizations take my credit, my work, out of their pieces so that people don't know it came from me. I have receipts of this. He did it publicly on Twitter. These are the people that are lifted up by the conservative right, the people that do not understand, that are only interested in clout and money and fame. The Charlie Kirks, the Tim Pools, even Glenn Beck. I'm sorry, and I used to love Glenn Beck. I really do, and I think Glenn Beck does a lot of good in the world, and so I don't want to shit on him entirely. I mean, I like, in my heart of hearts, I like the guy, but he is behind where I am by years. Mark Levin, literally writing all these books about socialism, doesn't know any of this stuff. Chris Rufo, I adore Chris Rufo. I really do. I really do. He has done the Lord's work. I don't want to shit on him, but he doesn't understand this stuff like I do. He understands it better than most people do. And the reason I say this is these are the leaders on the right that are informing people. That's not to say that people like Chris Rufo have no value to offer. Chris Rufo has tremendous value to offer. But that doesn't mean that people are being informed correctly about what is currently going on. And what that means is they do not understand the enemy. They do not understand what they're fighting. If you do not understand what the goal is, you can't hit the goal. You're going to go over here. The goal is right here. Let me see. Right here. The goal is right here. The goal is right here. That is beating the left. That is understanding the left. Right now what's going on is people are going over here. People are like, the goal's over here, the goal's over here. This is what the left is. And they're going over here because they don't understand the left. They need to be right here. But they don't know that because they don't listen to what the left says and they don't listen to what the left does. It's not like they have every single thing wrong. Some of the philosophy does make its way into the real world, so I'm not suggesting they have every single thing wrong, but they have enough wrong that they are not focused on the right target. And what that means is that the left is operating completely unopposed. They have no real enemy. The weight of conservative medias, conservative pundits, conservative influencers, and their audience are not focused on the right problem when it comes to the far left. And they think they are. They're sure they are. They are charging down the fucking road as fast as they can go. They don't know it's the wrong road. They don't know they're going to get lost. This is why I am so adamant that you've got to stop implementing tactics when you don't understand what the target is. You have got to start learning about your enemy first. Learning about your enemy can be boring. Learning about your enemy takes time. Learning about your enemy is like learning a foreign language. You very literally have to learn a foreign language. Socialists don't speak English. They speak socialist. It might sound like English, but it's not. They use the same vocabulary. They do not use the same dictionary. They have different definitions than you. And no amount of saying, well, my definition is the right definition. They don't give a fuck. They don't care what your definition is. They are operating based on their definition. If you want to beat them, you need to understand their definition. That is the only way it's going to work. Saying, but, the dictionary says this. They've literally changed the dictionary. They've been changing the dictionary for years. They'll change it again. Your definition will slowly go away, and it will be replaced by theirs. It may not happen right away, but it will happen with time. They control this. They are in the power position. We are the underdogs. It is incumbent upon us to be scrappy. The only way we can get ahead of the left is by understanding them and knowing how to outmaneuver them. Right now, we're chasing after them. Hey, wait guys, wait guys, wait guys, wait guys. They're running ahead. They don't even care about us. It's like they're like professional marathon runners, that like the ones you see on the TV that they have this beautiful stride and they run, super fast. They finish a marathon in 2 hours and 5 minutes or whatever. And then you've got the normal people running the marathon that are just having fun and they're having a good time and they're high-fiving their friends and family along the route. That's the difference of what we're talking about. The left is the elite marathoners that will always win. The right are the hobbyist marathoners that are just there to have a good time, but are not a threat. That's the position that we're in right now. That's how far ahead they are, because they control all the institutions. You do not beat someone when you are in an underdog position unless you truly understand them. That is the only way you can outmaneuver them. So it's a very long-winded video to say, if you're serious, and if you've made it to this point, you're 18 minutes into this video, you might actually be serious. The unserious people turned this off a long time ago. They heard me yell. They heard me say things. They were like, that bitch has a tone. Oh, my word. And they clutched their pearls and they ran away and they left a mean comment or whatever. If you've made it now, we're almost in 19 minutes, you might actually be serious. So if you're serious, come to my daily streams. I stream Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. We do Socialism Saturday at 6 p.m. If you're not available, you can watch it on demand. I have a massive archive. Go watch my Socialism Saturday videos. If you're serious, start with the Socialism Saturday videos. Or even better, go to my website, carlin.substack.com. Go to the How to Speak Socialist section. I have a 4-hour class pinned to the top of that section. It's called How to Speak Socialist. It says 4-hour on-demand class right on it. Just go right to my Substack. Find it. It's free. You just have to sit there and watch it. Those are the best of clips. That is your crash course. I'm working on another crash course right now to give people the materials they need to catch up quickly. But the biggest message I need to give you is that you must sit down and learn. You must listen and learn. And if you're not willing to do that because you want to talk and you want to share what you think about socialism, you have got to unlearn everything you think you know. I will show you what's going on with primary source evidence. Stuff that happens in the real world, that's all I look at. So you will be able to see. You'll be able to see for yourself what they say, what they do, what they talk about. It's not something I created. It's not something I made up. It's just something it's something I know how to find. If you're serious, you will come, you will watch the content, you will learn the content, you will learn the language, and trust me, and this happens over and over and over and over and over again. People in my community, when they become fluent in the language of socialist, they go, oh, and they see things completely differently, and you can never unsee it. You can never unsee it. So that's what you need to do. If you don't like that answer, you're like, just give me a quick list. There's no quick list. There's no such thing. You don't get a shortcut to defeating a problem that's been around for 100 years. You have to take the long road. You have to do it right. There is no shortcut. And so if you're not up for it, then try to stay out of the way of the people who are. Try to stay out of the way. Try not to whine. Try not to cry. Try not to... It doesn't, like, your tears mean nothing when you are complaining about the fact that something is too hard. I have watched thousands of hours of far-left radical revolutionary socialism over the last 3.5 years. You want to talk to me about hard? You sit and you watch the things I've watched, and you tell me what's hard. I don't want to hear your complaining. If you're not going to help, fine, but stand over there and try not to get in the way of the people who want to. And if you want to help, I will teach you more than anyone else on the internet about this stuff. Come and learn. It's free. It's available to all. It's on demand. You have really no excuse. So that's the answer. And we'll see how many people show up. I really hope I see you.